before I start, I just wanted to, I'll give you the injury update, but before I start, I just wanted to, let Ron Rivera, his family and the Washington football team know that we're thinking of them and praying for them. And we hope for a speedy recovery and health moving forward for Coach Rivera. So with that, we'll open it up to your questions.
Coach, thank God it's Friday. How you doing?
Just Mookie.
Yeah, no backdrop today. I'm running a few errands today, Coach. Just give us your reaction on when you first heard the news about Coach Rivera.
Yeah, I heard last evening and was definitely shocked. But it also brings to life the human nature of us as coaches, and we're no different than anyone else out there. We have families, and we go through things that everyone else goes through. And so, as I said before, just I learned a lot from the man, and just really praying for him and his family, and just want them to know that we're here for them any way we can.
Yes, sir. And finally, week one, the first full week and past, just what's your assessment?
I think we know where we are as a team, and that's important. We've been off to a fast start because of the short run up, and the players have done a phenomenal job being dialed in, locked into what we're doing. The process continues in terms of the work that we have to put in. Today will be a big day, and then the guys will get the rest of the day off, as well as tomorrow to recover. And then next week will be a big week for us as a football team. We've got a lot of work to do. We're not where we need to be. And so we've got a lot of work to do on and off the field to get ourselves ready to go.
Hey, Sean, Josh Reed here. Thanks for taking a little bit of time. The rookie wide receivers have made a little bit of noise early on in practices. What are your impressions? I know it's only a couple of padded practices now, but what are your early impressions, and how hard are some of the other veteran receivers going to have to push to make the roster?
Yeah, there's good competition there, Josh. These rookie receivers have done a nice job, and they're still young, right, with a lot of football yet to go and to be learned. It's been interesting and cool to watch the dynamic, though, develop between some of our young rookies at that position in particular, and then these older guys like Smoke and Diggs and Cole, to watch the trust that's being earned by the young guys and the dynamic that's developing as they integrate into the lineup in some areas. So fun to watch. Diggs had a big play yesterday, as did Isaiah as well, and so both seem very committed to what it takes to become a pro and a good football player at this level, and committed to putting the work in, which is a start.
Thanks, Sean. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Hey, Sean, I just wanted to ask about Josh Norman. Do you guys know the severity of his injury yet?
Yeah, Josh has a hamstring injury at this point, and we don't know the severity exactly. Those take some time to really get a good read on at this point, Heather. And so, he'll continue to learn and be out there when he can. And the biggest thing right now is that he maximizes those treatment opportunities so that he can get back out there as quickly as possible.
Can you give us the rest of the injury rundown?
Yeah, I'll do that. So Pat DeMarco will be out, John Feliciano, and Tommy Sweeney still, Robert Foster, Josh Norman, as we know, AJ Klein and Tremaine Edmonds, and then limited Ed will return today, Oliver, in a limited fashion. And then we're going to give vet days to Stephon Diggs, Jerry Hughes, and both Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer. So we're going to have a number of guys in at least limited or maybe out today.
And I just wanted to ask you really quick about Cody Ford. Do you guys have a timetable? I know that, there was questions about whether he'd play guard or tackle. Do you guys have a timetable for when you'd like to zero in on where you guys are going to have him this season?
Yeah, I'd like to see something unfold this week. When I say this week, maybe over the next 7 days. So we'll just see. We're still looking at some things, trying to evaluate, make sure we have a full evaluation and understanding of our situation, both what that would do at the starter level and what it would do and how it would impact our depth. behind those starters. So before we make any final move, we're going to take all those factors into consideration.
Thanks, Sean.
Yep.
Hey, Sean, John Scott. I wanted to talk to you about the defensive line because we saw yesterday they were really getting after it, and we know there's a lot of depth, and you like position flexibility. Just is this the most pieces you've had to work with up front that you can move and put in different spots?
Well, I think Eric Washington and Jock have done a great job. Our two defensive line coaches, number one, and the players just have come in great shape. Albeit there's a couple working through some bumps and bruises right now, soft tissue, what have you. But overall, there are some pieces, and I think that's important. We've talked long and hard about just, hey, we got to win up front on both sides of the ball, and you got to have that. So, and I don't think you really know until one outing doesn't necessarily mean that we've got it. But also one outing doesn't necessarily mean we don't have it either. So there's a lot of football yet to be played and a lot of spots to be earned yet. And I'm interested and excited to watch it come together. I thought they had a good day yesterday. There's certainly still room for improvement. And I think that's the biggest thing, that those guys understand that and they embrace that mentality of that growth mindset.
And do you notice the younger guys looking at a guy like Mario Addison? And he mentioned how, and Quentin Jefferson said, man, you move well for an older guy. Do you see the younger guys gravitating to him and seeing that at his age, he's still bringing it day in, day out?
He really is. And those relationships are fun to watch unfold. Guys that may not have known each other very well, that have come from two different teams in this case, with Quentin and Mario both, to watch these guys form bonds that are significant, where they get to know each other, get to know each other's families, and really respect each other's games, and so that's pretty cool to watch. And that's and to me, an important part of a team coming together is these relationships that these guys are building off the field in particular. But yeah, it's you watch guys, and in particular Mario and Quentin, the way they compete. And how passionate they are about the game, and yet they're good people, which is hard to find. And so we value that here, and we certainly appreciate the two of them.
Thanks, Sean.
Sure.
Hey, Sean, Mike Catalana. A year ago, you talked about how impressed you were with Christian Wade, trying to learn the game and all those things. Now here we are a year later. Virtual off season, no preseason games. He's out there, he's telling us, I got a shot to make this team. Like, what have you learned about him even more so over the last year?
Man, the thing I appreciate about Christian, honestly, is that he doesn't change. His effort, his enthusiasm, his positive energy. He's got a great smile. Those are the intangibles that he brings to our football team. And I bet you if you'd ask any player on our team, in particular the guys that were here a year ago and that are still with us today, they would say the same thing. He has great influence on our football team because of all those intangibles, and then all the while he continues to grow on the field and improve every day. And that's he really personifies the growth mindset that we talk about, and I appreciate his attitude and his daily approach.
And on the field, he said, last year everything was learning. Have you seen a difference?
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy that was really coming from starting at square one, and he's grown and developed. So, playing in a varsity game, if you will, is a little bit different than practice in the backyard here. But he is growing and he is developing. We certainly appreciate what he brings to our team.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Hey, Sean, John Worrell. As we're getting to know these players, these newcomers that you've added in the offseason, like Mario Addison and Quentin, and, we talked to Tyler Matakevich a few months ago. There seems to be, I use the word looseness to them. There's an easygoing nature about these guys. What do you see from the additions and how they've been able to kind of fold into the culture that you're developing while being loose in some ways and being themselves?
Yeah, the last word you said, themselves, that's key. we feel like guys can come here, and once we lay down what's expected, the guys have clear boundaries, right, in terms of what they can do and what they can't do, and within that's a big wide open space where they can be themselves and express their true personalities, and also be vulnerable at the same time. And I think that's a piece of our culture that the guys appreciate. But they also know, having said that, they also know what's out of bounds also, and what's kind of on the other side of that fence. And so, but within that, I think, the guys know that they've got a lot of space to be themselves and to become the best version of themselves. And I think once we're able to lay down those expectations, these players can really, to your point, settle in, John, to be comfortable and to yet understand that we're heading towards a season here, and we expect once we get on the field that we all have a job to do. And we're all professionals.
So in that sense, when Mario Addison, I'm not sure where on what side of the fence this is on. When Mario Addison straightens his beard, and I asked him about being able to maybe go after Cam Newton in the division, he straightens his beard and said, "Hell yeah," without really crossing the line. But he straightens his beard and laughs and says, "Hell yeah." I'm looking forward to that.
Well, Mario's a competitor, right? And that's part of what we look for in our players is guys that can flip that switch, and they certainly have, the high character about them. And I know it's written and talked about a lot. But in addition to that, they also have a competitive fire to be the best and to win. And that's a balance, and it's hard to find. But, again, give credit to Brendan and his staff. They do a great job of knowing what we're looking for and what we need, and then finding those guys and bringing them in.
Thanks, Sean.
Hey, Sean, Sal Majorana, good to see you again. A couple things for you. Could you give us an update on just what you're seeing from Zach Moss? Just a lot of people have said some nice things about him. He's a tank. He's a bruiser. Can you kind of give us, where is he at right now a week into this thing?
Well, I think he continues to work to become a professional. I really do, Sal. He's just a rookie, and so we have to manage expectations, and he's got a lot of work to do. That said, he certainly has shown in a short amount of time that he's smart, that he's physical, that he loves football, and that he's willing to be a team player. And that's really what we can say at this point. I mean, we'll know more a week from now. And again, that's part of the challenge of not having the spring, where we didn't really get in person with these young players, these rookies in this case. So he's off to a good start. And, as big of a piece as the running part of it is the blocking piece. And so that piece is an important piece in terms of picking up pressure and blitzes and whatnot. So you've got to be able to do that as well. And he's done it well to this point.
And the other thing I had for you picked up Lachlan Edwards, so you've got a true punter competition once again. It seems like that's one of the best competitions in camp. Can you maybe give us a thought on, what went into bringing in Lachlan?
Yeah, competition. We thought Corey Vedvik did a nice job. We felt like it was time to bring in someone else at this point, which is natural in the position battles that we have, whether it's punter or another position. So we did that, brought in a more veteran player. At a little different end of the spectrum in terms of where Bojo is. And so Lachlan has experience. He's kicked in the Northeast before. And, we expect him to come in and do a great job and add to the competition on our roster. And you saw some of that yesterday. You were at practice, and you see some of the things we were trying to isolate out there.
Okay. Thanks, Sean.
Sure.
Hey, Sean. I know we've asked quite a bit about Josh to this point, but I'm curious what you've seen out of your backup quarterbacks and just what the process has been like balancing the reps and, trying to get enough of a look at those guys without taking too much away from Josh in this short camp.
Yeah, Matt, that's a challenge when you've got four. It's good to have four, don't get me wrong, but when you have a limited amount of reps, you have to find a way to get them all enough reps to evaluate them. And I think all four of them have done a nice job. In particular, I'll mention to your question, I believe it's the probably a question about the Davis and Matt and Jake. So all three of them bring different things to the table, and that's the interesting piece of it is, and you saw them yesterday on the field and what they were able to do. So, we had some high moments and we had some moments that we all want back. And so I'm encouraged by what they've done to this point with a lot of growth ahead yet. And I'll be interested to see what unfolds this week.